People always say that like I'm hoarding stuff, but like
Oh,
I'll rip out newer
yeah.
equipment and like, dude, I salvage everything. It's really common for people to be just pushing new equipment rather than fixing it, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of different things out there that people don't, cross their T's and dot their I's on, and they just choose to replace the part, get in, get out. But I agree with you. Like there's always a reason for why a part failed. You can't be scared of the unknown. Like a lot of the stereotypes of people being, you don't know it, you're never going to be useful, it's not existent, So like you need to just take that leap, invest into a company that's willing to invest into you.
I've had a lot of guys that want to go from residential to commercial though. So did you miss residential at all? Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades podcast. I'm your host, Adrian, and I'm an HVAC business owner here in South Texas. Plenty of good conversations to be had with good people and a lot of good stories that maybe you would relate to. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any other location, please leave us a review. We hope to earn those 5 stars, and I really have fun doing this podcast. I appreciate everybody that watches or listens and makes this what it is. I also want to thank our sponsors that help keep this thing going. Jobber is our favorite CRM. I've tried different ones until finding Jobber that kind of controls the chaos that it is running a business and still being in the field and trying to get all the billing, quoting, submitting everything that you need to do outside of the field. And with Jobber, we do our maintenance contracts, we do our invoicing, our quoting, following up with customers to get reviews. That has helped our business a lot. So check out Jobber for yourself, see if it helps your business. You get a 2-week free trial and a special discount if you use the link down below. VETO Pro Pack is also a supporter, and I can tell you right now, even though I see a bunch of competitors coming into the field, they are still hands down the best tool bags that you can buy. You won't want to use any other tool bag. And the thing is, they have so many products now that you can find the one that is perfect for you. So make sure to check out VETO Pro Pack at your supply house or go to vetopropack.com. True Tech Tools has a lot of their stuff as well. Go check out their website to make sure that you can find the perfect bag for yourself. You won't regret it. DIVERSITECH is probably in a lot of y'all's vans. I have almost something from all of those brands in my van ever since we've started. Packard is a big one for us as far as parts. They usually have something that we would need on a day-to-day basis. They are your one-stop shop for everything HVAC, and they have you covered for your everyday HVAC needs. Today's episode is also brought to you by RESIDEO. Pro IQ Services is your edge on every customer call. It's available on Honeywell Home smart thermostats and designed to help HVAC pros turn everyday installs and customer calls into lasting business relationships. From branded visibility and remote configuration and controlled custom system alerts, it's a full-service device that helps pros streamline labor, increase customer loyalty, and generate leads. For more information, please check out resideo.com/proiq. What is up, Joe? How are you?
Another day, a day off.
Another day, another dollar?
That's right. Another day, another penny. Whatever way you want to look at it.
Well, it's a weekend. I don't know. Do you work on weekends, or are you usually on call or anything like that? Because I know you do some of the same work that I do. And refrigeration, you can't put that off.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the phone rings, then I'll go to work. I am on an on-call rotation, but if they need me, they need me, and then I just go into work. So,
do you guys ever get like slammed with this kind of stuff? Because I assume, well, let me get into who you are. So can you kind of introduce yourself? Because I'm getting ahead of myself. And who you are and what kind of work that you do?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Blanchard, obviously. I post content on every platform, more or less. Recently, it's been more on Instagram, but I'm trying to transition to posting long-form content also here soon. I do commercial HVAC and refrigeration. I try to stay more towards refrigeration, but I do whatever they call me out to do, and I fix whatever they put on my plate. So it's pretty much anything.
As far as like commercial, what kind of locations do you go to? Because like me, I try to but I can be picky. I know you work somewhere, but like, do you guys do a lot of restaurants or any hospital work, any other like, I guess, bigger buildings?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. We have a very wide range of different customers. We do commercial restaurants, commercial kitchens, private properties that are privately owned. So, like, we do a lot of commercial based equipment, but it really just is a wide range. There isn't really anything specific. So,
Okay, so you do quite a bit. I only ask because, like, obviously, like I said, for refrigeration, if that phone rings on the weekend, you can't reschedule or schedule a freezer down or a walk-in box. There's little things, right? Like maybe an under counter cooler freezer. Oh, you're not gonna be able to use it over the weekend. Just use the walk-in. Or if they have, we've benefited when they have several walk-ins and they kind of just can stockpile it into another one, and then we'll get there, Monday morning or something. But for the most part, if a walk-in goes down, anything refrigeration wise, like you're going out on the weekend, you're going out late at night. That stuff is just it just happens, and that's the one thing I try to tell people because I get a lot of inquiries like that they want to get into commercial. Right now that we're hiring, I got a lot of residential guys that are trying to jump over and hitting me up, and I'm like, we try to control it as much as we can because we're like a small family business. We don't want to work weekends. We don't want our guys out there all weekend. So we try to control it as much as we can with like maintenance and kind of checkups and just making sure we do everything right. Because the one thing my dad will always bring up, and I always kind of joke around too, is like, if you guys rush through a call towards the end of the week, we're going to get a call back on Saturday. Please don't,
yeah.
please don't rush. Please don't make any mistakes. And we've been able to mitigate it as much as we can. But that's the one thing that I tell residential guys. You can kind of schedule that AC stuff, or unless your boss is like making you run a ton of calls a day, whatever it is. But on the commercial side, if we need you to go out, obviously there's a rotation, but on the weekend, you have to go and you have to be there in a reasonable time.
It does kind of depend on the property or like the circumstance. I know we do a lot of franchise or corporate owned locations depending on what it is, and it kind of depends on like you said, the circumstance. Like sometimes you have a walk-in cooler connected to a walk-in freezer and you can just open the freezer
Yeah.
door and get them by for the night. So it just kind of depends on the property, but it's almost, if something goes down 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to go look at it and fix it.
Oh, yeah. And it could be simple. Nowadays, I feel like it's not. I get a lot of issues with boards and electronics, and it's not like you can kind of just swap out a solenoid power head or on a TXV or anything of that nature. Now you got to replace like a board or sensors or something, right? So transducers I've had go bad. So a lot of that stuff is a little bit harder to get the customer by. I know there's a protocol for like those refrigeration trucks that come by for a lot of places, right? When the walk-ins go down, they won't do that. They won't even buy ice for their ice machine. Cause I just had that this week. We had like a whole bunch of ice machines go down, and it's like the drive-through ice machine. And I'm like, guys,
Hmm.
just buy some bags, because we're trying to get to you, but we have so many calls because like we had a heat wave also, and just so many calls came in, and they're like, no, we're not buying ice. It's too much money, this and that. Just come by when you can. And then that you get to the end of the day, and it's like, are you coming? It's like 5 o'clock. I'm like, we're trying. We don't want to be there all night, but we're trying. Like I said, if a walk-in goes down, they want us out there right away. Even the ACs right now, because it's so hot. I don't know about, where are you from?
Florida. So I'm from Southwest Florida. Well, originally from Michigan. I live in Southwest Florida.
What was
So if
behind the
something,
move?
the snow. So I couldn't stand the snow anymore.
No
I told
better
myself
place
if
to
I was
go
gonna,
to than Florida.
yeah, if I was gonna continue this career, I was like, really love refrigeration over just HVAC. So moving to Florida keeps me on my toes all the time because if something goes down, people need it fixed, right away. And I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I was talking about it in one of our lives that like the guys don't understand sometimes. Like you learn to figure things out, like how you said, if something goes down, sometimes you have to fix it. So like the other day I had a EV that wasn't in calibration, it wasn't working right, so I couldn't fix it at night. So the best thing I could do was manually open that EV and then take the head off of it and leave it
Oh
running
yeah.
all night.
Do you have one of those like special magnets for it?
Yeah, yep.
Did you get it from Carol, or because I know Appion makes them now?
I have the
Yeah.
Carol one, the OG red one. I don't have the new Appian one, but it comes with the kit of
Well, it's
three, I think
the
it
only
is.
yeah, the only thing is it's a kit. I typically see the same one over and over, so I don't know if I need the whole kit, right? I wish they would sell them
Yeah.
individually.
I just seen that they have the different sizes. I only use the smallest, like I always run to
Yeah.
the smallest one, but I
Yeah, me
don't
too.
think I've ever seen an EV with that 1 inch diameter. Not in my day.
That's why I haven't pulled the trigger on it because the Carol one, did you like order it or did you get it from a supply house?
I got it from a supply house forever ago.
Okay.
They sent it like it was a kit that we ended up getting. I've had it for years, and it was like you got the EEB with the adjustment thing because I have seen before, not as much anymore, but they get out of adjustment, and then you show up and it says that it's 100% of the way open, but it actually is only
Oh,
maybe 50%. You know?
I've heard of that. I've never seen it either. The only time, like I said, or like you said, trying to get a customer by, the only time I've run into it is where the board just for some reason, because you can go and it's weird because I work on a lot of IntelliGen. That's where I've had more board issues, but I think they must have fixed something. I know that they changed the boards because now they're a different color. So they must have addressed any issues that we had because when we first started seeing them, I had to replace quite a bit of boards because in test mode, everything worked fine. Like it would open, close, do all its steps, everything. And then you would kick it into cooling and just would not send signal. So it was either stuck all the way open or stuck all the way closed. And that time I wish I would have had a magnet just to kind of like you said, like open it up until they ordered the correct board and everything. And that was a whole hassle. I still get a lot of comments and views on those videos because other people have similar issues and they don't know where to go. And I already told my guys, I was like, if you have any issues, it's just like with TXVs, it's never really that. It's either the signals that it's getting, the board itself, or something else kind of making it go out of whack.
Yeah, I have seen that a lot on those QRC boards, the IntelliGen ones, because they have those internal batteries on the first revision. I don't know if the second boards do, but that internal battery will go bad. I don't know if you've seen this either, but it loses the programming for like the superheat and the refrigerant type that it's using. So like you'll show
Oh,
up and
okay.
you're working on like a 404 system. It'll say it's using 448, and you're like, that's not right. And then you'll check the superheat, and it'll be like program for like 15 degrees or something like that. I ran
I
into
ran in.
that problem.
Well, maybe I have, and I didn't know because I went to one and I was so confused because it's super. But I feel like somebody messed with it because the superheat was set to 20, and it was a freezer, I think, or maybe a cooler. And I was like, yeah, that just changed it real quick, made sure everything else is in the right setting, and it worked because it had been down for a couple days. I was like, that was it. I don't know who messed with it or what happened here, but it was just the superheat setting.
Yeah, I have seen it more on freezers than coolers just because I think that temperature, the low temp will kill that battery inside that board, but
Oh yeah.
everything's different, you know. So
Yeah, and I don't know how it works. I haven't talked to anybody overseas since I posted because I posted a video of the board I stuck. I had so many comments. They were like, "Is that what you guys do in America? Because like over here, like we don't put the board in the walk-in or something like that." I was like, I have no idea. That's how they all are here. Whether you work on like Russell or Heatcraft or any of them, that's all you see now. Didn't make too much sense to me if you do have a failure like that. And in that instance, that board was acting funny, so we had them swap it because I was like, there's no other way to fix this because it wasn't going to turn back on. It's actually started smoking a little bit because it started dripping down the front and it was getting into like the relays and everything. And funny enough though, I took it out, I dried the hell out of it. It turned back on. So I think it's good. It's just
you got to put it in rice.
yeah, it's just, it's like the old day. I used to work on phones and electronics. You throw everything in rice.
Yeah, man, rice fixes it.
So it dried out. It worked fine. It's just, but in that moment, I couldn't do anything because it was covered in ice and there was just dripping water everywhere. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we can rip it out, clean all the ice, put a new one in, and that's the quickest solution. I feel like a lot of it nowadays, especially with that kind of stuff and the customers, right? Like that's a lot of product that they lose. Because there's always that repair over replace. And I consider it in parts too, right? Do you want to replace several parts? But sometimes you got to, what's the quickest solution? Because yeah, we can take it out. Like you said, we can put it in rice. We can dry the hell out of it. We can get all the ice off. We can do everything that we need to.
But that might take a day or so or something, because that's a walk-in freezer. It's going to take a while to get all that, dry that board out properly, and then put it back. Or go get a board, swap it in, swap it out, and then you're good to go. Like, I feel like the quick solution is more, that's where it's worth, what we charge and what we do, and just getting the customer up and going in a timely manner. I won't replace the whole system like some people would, but I'll replace, some of these major components. And then you kind of start thinking about, if I replace this part, should I replace the next part down the line? That's kind of where your judgment comes into play, as far as like experience, or just kind of knowing how the sequence works, because if one thing failed, the next one might too.
I agree. Yeah. It's more or less understanding how 100% of that system works. Like, you have to really put yourself in the shoes of the system, is kind of like the best way to put it. Like, if it's not going to work this way, then how can you kind of reverse the technology and force it to work, because like everything is always fixable to an extent. Like, you can always bypass certain things within reason that aren't, safeties, or you can always make something work that has failed for the time being. I just think the biggest difference between good techs and techs that just want to replace is fixing what's there versus just choosing to replace it.
And I think cause I have this thing that I do, right? This consultation thing, and it's through Smeeple. I don't really push it, because if anybody has questions, they just kind of DM me. The problem is it might get buried, and it might take me a while to get back to them. But I've had some people hit me up on that, because it's like a video conference thing that they can kind of book and stuff. And I had a guy that is going from residential to commercial refrigeration. He got his first call for a walk-in box at a gas station. And just hearing that, I was like, good luck, man. I got out of gas stations, because those things are like Frankenstein most of the time. And they're all kind of crazy. And sure enough, he sent me a picture, and I'm pretty sure it had a suction line dryer on it. So I was like, well, watch out with that compressor. That nobody ever takes them out. They're always there. And it's a sign of, obviously, a burnout, stuff like that. The thing had, like, I kid you not, like 6 to 8 safeties on it, or maybe more, because they kept wiring and more, and it looked like a jungle of wires. I'm like, you need to figure out which ones are actually using and try to eliminate all the other ones, because it even had the old mechanical ones, and then like some screw on, like the peanut style ones. And he was trying to figure out like what is not making it kick on, and this and that. And they welded on some service ports on the downstairs unit, and he was trying to ask me about superheat and subcool, and I'm like, I had to explain to him like fan cycle control and all that kind of stuff, because this thing had everything, right? And for like a residential guy, he's like, what am I looking at? And then like at that point, he got it going. I mean, I just explained to him everything that every part does, and I was like, figure out what you need, what you don't need, and start there, right? And sure enough, you got it going. So, but you know what? Because I was trying to remember what it was. This is the craziest one I've seen, because he quoted a new compressor, and obviously it had a burnout, right? They put a 410A compressor in a walk-in cooler box. So this thing, I don't even think it had a scroll to begin with, because it was an older system. It must have had those little hermetically sealed compressors,
yeah.
right? And then I saw like a tall scroll like stuffed in there, and I was like, dude, read me the label, because like I'm curious to see what kind of compressor that is. We looked it up on Copeland, 410A high temp compressor. I was like, that's your main problem right there.
Right. Like, how are you supposed to drop temp that far with like, I mean, switching from hermetic to like a standard scroll is one thing, but, swapping your refrigerant, I mean,
The whole
there's,
scroll thing is new to me, because where I'm at, it's like a lot of older systems. So once I started seeing like scroll compressors for walk-in boxes, like freezers, the whole, because when like you said, when you go to that, that's a change in itself, because they'd use liquid injectors and all this other stuff to keep the compressor cool. I didn't even know about that stuff until a few years ago, because we had never seen that. I'm used to like the regular, like the hermetically sealed, but I worked on a lot when I started the semi-hermetics. That's what I was used to. Like taking those things apart, replacing some of the gaskets and seals, making sure everything is, changing the oil, changing the service ports if need be, the vibration absorbers. That's all the stuff that I used to do. And that's kind of what I learned on. And seeing like the new stuff now, I'm like, okay, that's a big change now.
yeah, I think the big, like you said, the liquid injection thing, people don't really put together. And then like people don't understand like how fragile scroll plates are. So like on a low temperature application, if your liquid injection fails and you're not getting that compressor cooled off and the safety isn't shutting it off or anything, I mean, that compressor is going to be junk faster than you can even get there, you know? So
I
I
had
think people don't
one.
realize that.
I had one in particular. I made a video on it because I'm like, for the life of me, it was a newer system, and the like it wouldn't cool. It was a freezer. It wouldn't cool all the way down. It would get stuck at 20. Went to go check everything, and it seemed like it was bypassing internally, right? So something had broken inside, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't know what's going on, this and that. And I made a video on it because we are gonna like quote it out and replace it. But I was like, it always bugs me, and that's another thing I always try to tell people, like, or even right now that we're hiring. Okay, you're gonna replace a compressor, you're going to replace a TXV or a power head, whatever it is that you found that failed. But I don't want that part to fail again. So I need to know why it failed, or at least like your thought process as to like how you got there, right? Like, did we have safeties bypassed? Did we have dirty coils? Did we, like, what was it, right? And in that instance, I had no clue, because I was like, I tried cleaning it out. I tried doing everything I could. I had no clue about the liquid injection. I had a lot of comments that educated me on that. So that's kind of one thing that I do like about posting and stuff, is I can just kind of put something out there and I'll get a ton of information from people on stuff that I don't know. So once we figured that out, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I made sure that that was working. I don't think it was, but we had replaced some other parts to it. It's been working fine for a few years now. But at the
Right.
time, I was trying to figure out what had happened. And I think it was that liquid injection, because it was not working from what I remember in my initial test. It's there for a reason. Obviously, scrolls, very different. So in that instance, we did have some internal wear down or breakdown to where it was causing like that high pressure to seep into that low pressure. And I've seen it before. I know the symptoms. I was just like, how did that happen?
Yeah, that's it. First thing I do, like if I see like a scroll on like a walk-in or anything is like overheated, I mean, I always tell people when they call me, I say, well, can it pump down? So then
Oh,
I
yeah.
say, try to pump it down. And I've had several same thing that you're talking about that'll just sit there and short cycle the refrigerant through itself, and it has a bad check valve in it if it's a scroll, because they don't really have valves. It's just a check valve, so it can sit there and short cycle its own refrigerant. But typically, those only fail like if it overheats, or like you said, liquid injection fails, because all it is another TXV essentially. It's just
Yeah.
feeding that liquid injection as it heats up. I had a conversation last week with somebody through Trenton, and I took a temperature of a compressor on a brand new system, and they said, well, it's going to run higher temp because to get that efficiency rating, we're lessening how much liquid it's injecting into that compressor to cool it down. So then I said, well, isn't that going to shorten the compressor life? And the guy kind of laughed on the phone and told me, well, yeah, I mean, essentially it is. And I said, well, what if I take a liquid injection port off of this model, install it on this model, and then it's got a lower open set point to cool that compressor more? And he goes, ironically, you're one of the first people who's called recently about doing this. So he's like,
Hmm.
yeah, you're going to increase the length of the lifetime of that compressor. You're just going to lose efficiency. And I'm like, man, none of these
Yeah.
commercial properties care about that efficiency that much. Like that loss
And
of what
yeah,
it's
and
not
if
going to be
they
that.
did, it was a phase, right? Because I explained this. I don't know if it was on my show or the nights. Like, there has been salespeople even in commercial that went around and sold everybody these high efficient like motors, evaporator fan motors. I don't know if you've ever seen them. I've never seen them
Mm-mm.
personally, but everybody that I know would have to go in there and rip them out, because like they did not help whatsoever, and they were a pain to work on, replace, all that kind of stuff. So I hear about it, but like, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't like, my customers just want the equipment working. They just want like a good life out of it. Cause every time I have to explain to them that it's time to replace something, because like, and it takes a lot for me to say it, because it has to be like beat to crap and just
Right.
pinhole leaks, and we've already patched it, and like, okay, now it's time to replace it. They won't be happy about it, right? Cause that should last them, and it should honestly last them 20 plus years when they buy a unit. I just don't feel like that is the equipment nowadays. And to hear that
No.
conversation that you had, it's just it's crazy to me. The closest conversation I've had has been on a couple of different calls that I had. One was a make line cooler. I'm sure you've probably seen those with the rails on top, right? Like everything's enclosed. I was like, okay, I called manufacturer, but this was years ago when I had barely kind of started seeing them. I was like, okay, I found the leak. It's in the rail. What do I do? They just laughed at me on the phone. They're like, yeah, unless you're going to cut out the whole stainless steel back, get all the foam out, work in there, find your leak, and then patch it up. They were like, you're not going to fix it. So I'm like, really? Okay. I felt so bad for this customer because they were not these like Randels or anything that are like on wheels and they can just throw them out and put a new one in. They were built into the walls and up on these platforms. It was a fancy restaurant. And I was like, I'm sorry, man, you're going to have to figure out a way to rip that out and put another one in there. And I was like, we're not going to do it. I was like, I'm condemning it. I was like, you figure out what you want to do. So that was that instance. I had another one with Raymond Rude that just would not sell me a coil, but maybe I don't buy from them enough, but I had to tell the customer, like, I can't even get you the coil. Like they literally told me that they are prioritizing like new equipment. They can't pull off a coil for me just to go fix a small mom and pop shop. I was like, really? I was like, all right. So I've seen it and I don't like it where the manufacturers are thinking of selling the next system, not helping the technician fix the current one.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the issue. I don't know if you've heard about like the lawsuits that are going on right now about like the big name brands pushing like that. I feel as if that sometimes it's intentional, how you're saying. Like it seems like they just would rather they claim that they have the equipment on standby that's brand new, but that then they don't have parts for the old, you know? So like it kind of puts you in a bad place because then you're either like having to sell new equipment or kind of just put a band-aid on it for the time being until you can get a part 5 months that's back ordered.
Yeah, it's with everybody because even with my supply house that I go to, like they are always really good, but lately they've had their hands tied because I'll need a part for like a Daikin. It's like the little variable controller for like the blower motors and stuff. Like all these new electronics that they keep putting in there. I was like, I need it now. It was for like a nursing home and that electronic part gave out and they want it fixed now. I mean, they have a lot of people to take care of, a lot of patients and people like older people that live there. And that is like a critical, as far as on the AC side, that is something critical for us. Like we always have to go out there same day and get it going. And we're like, we need this part. It's under warranty. We just installed it. Yeah, that's going to be a couple months out. I was like, dude, my customer's not going to understand that. I was like, we had to literally talk to them into bringing one of their last equipment in the warehouse to bring it down, let us take the part. And when they get the warranty part, we went back and put it back in that system because they were going to sell it after that. I was like, dude, we can't do this. Like you're selling this equipment. You should have parts on hand. Like our customers don't understand that. They get frustrated with us and then we gotta take that from them.
I know it's people always say that like I'm hoarding stuff, but like I'll
Oh,
I'll rip out newer
yeah,
equipment and like dude, I salvage everything because like
yeah, you have
if
to.
like even those QRC boards we were talking about earlier, I have one of those on my van that I ripped out of a system because I have found so many that have went bad that to this point I feel like if I don't have one with me, I'm gonna be in a pinch.
Yeah.
So
And I've talked about this with people because they would ask me, do you ever hoard parts, right? Like say the system is pretty good, but you had a bunch of leaks and you replaced it, but all the parts are good. Like, yeah, like take the board, take the sensors, take whatever, is functioning and in good condition because you never know when you're going to need it. Yeah. They asked me about it. I'm like, yeah, I do that. I still do that. Even right now, last night I was cleaning because I'm still dealing with the transition to the truck. I had a whole bunch of crap in the garage that I was like trying to figure out, do I need it? Do I not? Right. Cause the van was full of crap. So I had to make a little bin of my extra parts because I was like, I'm not throwing those out. Right. I have like sensors and like little pumps, like for ice machines that I know that are still good. They're like they're used, but I know they're still good and I can use them to get a customer going on a weekend or something like that. So definitely if you can salvage parts, our senior tech is really good. He's like, don't throw that away. I'm going to disassemble it, take all the, like even brackets, right? Like I feel like brackets are very different across a lot of walk-in boxes and stuff. So we kind of keep some of those brackets. I order a whole bunch of them recently just to have on hand because we run into so many different kinds and a lot of them I've seen a lot of it on Heatcraft, a lot of them in the condensers, like the brackets just crack from the vibration, right? So you got to have that on hand. It's just you kind of know what you need, but hoarding parts, I used to have like a bucket just full of like scrap parts in there.
Yeah, like fan blades. You pull off fan blades off old equipment. It's just
Especially reach-ins.
crazy.
I've
Yep.
I don't understand why it's so hard to get. Well, I guess I do, right? Because what's that brand that you have behind you there?
This is a Vanco.
It's like that cheap stuff.
Yeah.
So I understand because I guess like they make so many variations, so many different models. But like honestly, more than half the time you have to go with OEM or whatever it came with, because like a universal, like a C-frame motor or like the blades, like they won't fit. Like they're so small in how they build those things. You can barely work on them, but like some parts just don't fit. Like if you're using aftermarket. So I've found that on like reach-ins, I need to be more particular of either hoarding parts or making sure I get the OEM parts because I've never had good luck with aftermarket stuff on that stuff.
I know. You go to use your universal parts and you're taking your grinder and like cutting off
Yeah.
the extra like 2 inches of like shaft to put the guard back on it. Cause like the reach-ins, especially the ones that are like upflow coils where they can stock it completely from the top to
Mm.
the bottom. And then they have the fan guards in there. Like if you
Oh
don't have
yeah.
those fan guards, it's gonna eat everything up.
Yeah,
So
I used to save a lot of the fan guards because they were, special to each equipment.
just the other day, we had a commercial restaurant, and they said that it was 90 in the kitchen, but it was cooling the dining, so they had 2 units. And I said, chances are that that lower motor is probably bad. So I got on there because we have it in our system what the model and serial is, and I said, it's a Lennox. I said, I think I have one of those three-phase blower motors at my house. And my boss kind of laughed and he was like, he's like, you got one of those at your house? I said, it was out of a system we ripped out and I just saved it. I mean, he knows that I keep parts like that, but like if it's an old system and the part's still good, I'm gonna hold on to it. So
Yeah. No,
I
that's
call
good.
my
That's
wife and
a
I say, I'm like, hey, is this part on the shelf, on the parts shelf in the garage? And she's like, yep, we got one. And my boss just kind of laughed. He's like, man, all right, well, go put it in.
model employer right there. So do you have
Sure.
your garage organized with that stuff? Like, do you know where everything
So
is?
I have like several, I have a Carrier three-phase blower motor. I have a Lennox. Like I have one of every type that I've tried to save just
Mm.
for future because I mean, like, as well as I do, like if a rooftop unit goes down on a kitchen, the temperature is going to be insane within, I mean, an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Customers right now that I have are very good, but they still wait a while to put those calls in. If it's a lobby or the dining, those calls get put in immediately because they don't want customers leaving. But like the kitchen, I feel bad for the cooks because they will let them sweat it out a lot of the time. And I've had restaurants that just will not fix the kitchen AC, and I feel bad. And I'm telling the cooks like I'm trying to get in there. I'm trying to look at it, see if it's a simple fix. Like trying to help you guys out, but there's some restaurants that won't even put that kitchen AC call in.
Do you do any properties that have like, I want to call it like not building management, but like the temperature probes that run over the internet so you can kind of like monitor it?
We had one that we were doing, then they wanted their own guy, then they brought us back because they were using another company, and then they brought us back because that company wanted to sell all new units, all new compressors, and I went back in and it was all dirty coils. That's all it was, right? And I was like, they're pretty filthy. I had to run it like 5 times to get it clear. And your compressors are good. Good news. But they had those remote systems, so that was a pain in the ass when I had first went back in there. But we didn't stay long enough to really deal with it.
It is kind of ironic, like the maintenance aspect of things. Like some people understand and some people don't. Like they see a maintenance bill and they go, man, that seems kind of costly. But on commercial kitchens and stuff, when those exhaust hoods are blowing all that grease by those rooftop units and everything,
Oh,
everything
that
gets
one.
dirty within weeks.
Yeah, that was that particular restaurant was like that too. It was a chain of, and man, those rooftops were nasty because like all the grease and stuff because everything was real crowded. That was that kind of location. Now the ones that we have now, they're bigger. They space everything like it's not really a big deal. But yeah, those get nasty. Like those, like I said, take several passes. It takes cleaner. It takes everything to get those clean.
Yeah, commercial kitchens will keep you on your toes, even working on the ACs. Like you get up there like my Friday night call this last week was I opened the door to the building and walked in it, and the door slammed on my heels behind me. I said, building valence is like terrible. So I
Oh
got up
yeah.
on the roof and the makeup air was shut off. So like I was like, okay, what's going on? And apparently their maintenance guy had shut off the makeup air thinking that it was bringing in hot air. And I said, well, I mean, it is, but you need it.
Yeah. I'm sure it's everywhere. Like it's also who you know. And that's why I try not to burn bridges. I try to always offer any help that I can. Customer service, I've worked on that. I've worked on relationships and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's also who's your buddy? Who do you know? Unfortunately. So we have another one that is, and it's the one that tried to say that I put in the wrong compressor. I was like so pissed about that one. I was like, looked it up. I talked to tech support. I'm like, dude, there's no freaking way, but whatever. So that one, I think they're like a buddy of one of the managers, which is whatever. If they want to use them, go right ahead. I've gone behind them so many times. But we had a location, and I kept telling them because they still used us for maintenance because I think we were pretty cheap on that end because they gave us like now 24, 26 stores. So it's good money for us, and we keep it kind of low cost, and it's just like a cleaning and checking. I think they're related, actually, something like that, right? So whatever, right? We do a lot of maintenance. I still get paid for things here and there. So I went into one store, and I had noticed, because those are things that you notice, right? Like with experience, like the door, is it hard to pull? Does it slam behind you? All that kind of stuff, right? And then you start thinking about air balancing as soon as you go in there. And I noticed that on this particular store too, and I kept telling them, but their makeup was bad. Like it was already falling apart. Motor was bad, rough shape. We were trying to, because it's really cheap to just replace the exhaust on a lot of places. So I was like, we can just drop one in, install it, whatever. So I kept telling them, I was like, your makeup air, you need to fix it. You need to fix it. And it was a super simple one. And they're like, no. And they had other companies going out there, because then like the make line, the coolers start messing up, right? And I tell a lot of my guys too, like if you go in there and they call you for a cooler, just like, how does it feel in there? If it's like 80, 85 plus, a lot of those coolers can't work in that kind of that heat load. So I always tell them, make sure the air is working when you get in there, make sure this and that. So they kept calling for the make line. I'm like, dude, I keep telling you, fix your damn makeup air. It's like right in front of the pizza oven. It's gonna quit on you. It's gonna overheat. So Finally they approved it, but like they had other companies go out there that never replaced it, never did anything with it. And every time they call me out, I'm like, dude, I've already told you, fix the damn makeup air. These are things that you do on the AC side, but it also affects your refrigeration, especially with this one customer, because there's a pizza oven, there's a make line open cooler, basically. I'm like, if you want to keep it cold, please close the top, because they always leave those things open all day. And I was like, fix your damn AC or whatever it is, right? So a lot of things you have to take into consideration.
It's always crazy. Like there are some make lines that like are designed to have the top open, but like people always think, well, the open top ones aren't designed to refrigerate. They just slow the warming process down, essentially. The
Yeah.
ones with the top can refrigerate, but like nobody ever closes them.
And there's different kinds, because like I said, that fancy restaurant that I had that had make lines, those were like the compressors were on the roof. Like it would run down. They had TXVs inside on the bottom cabinet. So those were a little more robust, like they would cool better. And even that top area where they had all the condiments and like meats and different things, those had fans in them. So they would circulate air. It was a cold rail, but it had fans in there. The ones that I'm working on right now at like the pizza places, like they're the big ones, they're the Randells, but they're essentially just like, I keep telling them, it's like an ice chest. It's going to frost up the sides, and then it just keeps things from getting warm. I always try to explain to them, right? Like you have to have it completely full, completely stocked, and that's the only way it's going to maintain. If you have any openings, you're letting air come in, you have warm product or like empty bins. I always try to tell them, keep the bins like somewhat full. I know they're not going to do that all the time, but a lot of this stuff helps, and they don't understand that. But I've pulled up the manuals for them before too, because they leave them open all day, and their specific model, it says only open for a couple hours and then close it the rest of the day and this and that. So I always have to tell them, like, yeah, these are not meant to be open all day. They're not like, they won't just automatically cool out of nowhere. Like you have to know how to use them, and you have to educate your customers a lot of the time, because I mean, the people handling these, right, the cooks, whoever it is, they might not know how this equipment works. Like the managers are the ones that buy them, or the owners, and they just kind of toss them in there and let them use it.
Yeah. And like the ones you're talking about, we have a lot of properties use the same style, and we have to install timers on them. And it's been more recently because
Mm.
the R290 systems take so long to drop temp on those make lines that they come in and turn it on in the morning, but it takes, an hour to get to where
Yeah.
they need it, and it might be too late. So we've been installing time clocks on them so that way they kick on an hour and a half before they get there, and then it cools down by the time they put product in it. But one big issue a lot of people don't realize that is if like you're putting warm product into it, it's going to have a hard time maintaining also. So like I've seen before where they call for the line not temping, and then you get there and you're like, the line's doing everything it can do. And then you go to the walk-in, and then the walk-in's like 45 degrees. And you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
your issue is your walk-in, not your line.
That's true. And I try, and it's the hardest thing to explain, because then they start telling me like, why can't you fix it or whatever? And I'm like, look, like, especially like the Randels, like the rails, all it does is form ice. If we have ice and frost everywhere, that's all it does. I was like, it doesn't get colder. It doesn't get like, there's nothing to adjust here. And typically on those, like we just have them all the way, or if it's digital, I'll lower it a little bit. Like they're going to run all day no matter what. I tell them if you're missing frost, or if that frost melts, then okay, we might have a problem. But like if you have frost and you're still complaining, yeah, you're not taking care of the product that you're putting in there, or you're keeping it open too much, or like it's during your lunch rush. Like there's all these different things. Right now we're dealing with a lot of, and I've told them, I think they moved into these plaza offices without really doing any sort of redesign or anything for the ACs, and the ACs can't keep up, right? Because like there's not enough cooling in the kitchen, but there's a whole bunch of cooling in the back, and it was meant to be balanced when you have more of a heat load in the front. So a lot of these customers also have these huge ass windows or walls that are basically windows, right? And like they don't want to cover them at all. I'm like, dude, like put up like blinds or like those ads that you guys have, like posters, like do something. Because then all that heat comes in and it's right where you guys cook. So then that's more heat picked up. And then you got a cooler sitting right there, open cooler that is trying to keep up.
I feel like there's a lot less companies out there that are doing right by the customer anymore on commercial side, because like you hear about it residential side, people like pushing new equipment, but commercially, especially refrigeration, because there aren't as many companies out there doing it, I feel like they're just pushing new equipment because the customer won't really bat an eye at it because they need it,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's really common for people to be just pushing new equipment rather than fixing it, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, and I tell my customers, 'cause I'm dealing with it right now, because they're calling us back because, and it's funny because for me it's like, hey, we need you there today. We need it done today. And I get there and I always ask questions. That's the biggest thing if you do any sort of commercial work or even residential, but like more so commercial, because I feel like you need to talk to like the cooks, you need to talk to the people that are in the kitchen to kind of get a sense of what's been going on. So I go there to these, and it was like 2 or 3 calls that I had. I go to a walk-in. I'm like, okay, cool. It's a 45 or whatever. I get it. It's dripping water. I'm going to work on it. But when did this happen? Did it, was it good yesterday? Did it happen today? No, it's been like that for like a week or 2. I was like, okay, cool. So the other company, I guess, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to ask too many questions about them, but I just want to know that like a short-term history on it. And then I had another one that I go to a make line cooler. And it's funny when the cooks and the managers are like super chatty or open, because I walked in there and they're like, oh, thank God you're here, this and that. And I was like, yeah, of course, like, when did this happen? Did it work, early in the week? Like, what's going on? No, this other company was here, and the guy has been working on it for like several days and has never been able to fix it and this and that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, things like that. I ask a ton of questions when I go into the kitchen, but lately I've been trying to do that. So I'm telling my customer, like, look, this is my first time here. If I have any issues, and, I'll let you know, but I just don't want that person's, being there all week to mess with me. Like, they're going to be like, oh, you're not fixing it, this and that. I'm like, dude, my first time here. Let me figure it out. Let me take my time on it. And I usually tell my customer, like, you're going to need this, and this, whatever parts it is. And I tell them, it's going to be expensive. So just consider if you guys want to buy new equipment, because a lot of the stuff that I work on is super old. Those Randels, the only thing I don't like is that it's one compressor for like 3 evaporators, 4 if the bottom has 2 like in the cabinet. And what I like about the new ones is you have 3 compressors for like 1 for each section. So I'm like, dude, like those work better if you have any other issues like the AC or the makeup air or the exhaust. I was like, you might want to consider buying one of those, but if you want to fix it, I'll fix it. Like I'm always going to go in there, list my parts needed, and we warranty our work. I know other companies, they can't even get them to go back out there, but we warranty our work. We'll go back out there.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, like, last week I had a slew of like kitchen exhaust hoods that were like not running right, or people were told that they needed a new one by other companies. So, like, one was from 1992, and I called the company that made it and I said, "Hey, I need you to give me the rundown of like how this thing, what parts came on it versus what I have now." And they said, "Well, we don't have the information for that anymore and we can't really help you on that." And I said, "Okay, well, you build custom hoods though, right?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, well, how about I give you what I have and then we work ourselves backwards and tell me what pulley I need for to run that RPM, you know?" And they were like, "That's actually a really good idea." So it turned out to be, it was running at 700 RPM on this specific exhaust hood, and the RPM required for that model and the size should have been running at 1400 RPM. So the pulley difference was a 2-inch versus the 4.5 that was supposed to be on it. So at some point from 1992 to
Yeah.
now, it's been running the wrong pulley. So it's just crazy to me how you stumble across stuff like that and you know
And
exactly what's going on.
yeah, and that's why we always double check, and not because I want to like talk down anybody that's been there before, or, I just want to cover myself, because if I go out there and I start replacing like belts, or I start replacing motors or whatever it is, but like something else changed along the line, right? Like you said, like we work on a lot of older equipment. So who knows what aftermarket stuff was put in there during that time, right? During those 20, 30 years. And I've had that instance too, where I tell them like this, you're not pulling enough on your exhaust, but do they want to put the call in? Do they want to have us go out there and, spend a couple hours diagnosing it? Sometimes they don't. So then I'm like, okay, I'm usually going to tell you. And it's something my dad kind of instilled, right? Is like, if you don't know the answer, find the answer. So I always tell them like, I want to do a complete diagnosis, because at the end of the call, whether I fixed it or didn't fix it, it's not going to be because I don't know. It's going to be because, or I'm going to leave you with a solution. It's up to you if you want to pay for that solution, right? So, hey, I found these parts bad. Do you want to replace them? Do you want to just leave it as is? Do you want to get a new unit? Totally up to you. But I will take my time to find the answer, find you a solution, and it's up to you. And that's what I try to instill in my guys. Even if they're changing parts, they're there to change something, contact or whatever. Why did that thing weld shut? Why did it overamp? Why did it do this? Go down the line. If you have to go all the way to the breaker, you might as well do that.
Right. I tell people all the time, compressors don't kill themselves. There's a reason why why it gave up. I mean, unless it's within reason, 25-year-old compressor is going to give up eventually.
Yeah.
But, you get people all the time changing 6-year-old compressors. It's like, well, why'd it quit? There's a lot of different things out there that people don't, cross their T's and dot their I's on, and they just choose to replace the part, get in, get out. But I agree with you. Like there's always a reason for why a part failed.
And that's a good mindset to have. Did you go to school for any of this, or how did you get into kind of the HVAC field?
So ironically, I went to trade school for industrial pipe fitting because I was going to work on the pipeline. And then while I was in school, I picked up a side job, just a part-time job doing HVAC. And then I chose to stick with HVAC.
So did you get into commercial straight away, or was it more residential?
No, I did residential in the beginning, which I believe breeds a good tech, in my opinion, if you start out residential and then go commercial, because I have seen a lot of guys that start out strictly commercial, and the way they do things just seems, I think it gives you a lot better appreciation for the customer's dollar if you start out doing residential, because it puts you in the mindset of like, well, if this was me, I wouldn't want to be screwed over. It just kind of depends on how you are as a person. But
And there's truth to that, because I went straight into commercial, but I had no customer service skills. So I just thought I had to go in there and fix it and get out. Like I had to work on my customer service. Also, yes, because we do have some guys that we've worked with or have worked for us that are like, it's a big franchise, it's a big restaurant or whatever. They're going to approve everything and they're going to buy everything. They're going to, like, we can make so much money. And we have to tell these guys, like, no, like they have budgets. They, they watch what they spend. Because a lot of times we go behind other companies because they're like, we don't trust them. They're replacing too many units, they're replacing too many parts. They do this, they do that. And that's another thing that I tell my guys, like, work as if someone is going to watch you or is going to go over your work afterwards. Because a lot of times they do. They watch what you're doing. They kind of go after you. I mean, you leave the job site, the manager or the owner might go and like look at what you did, or if you left a mess, things like that. So there's always things that you have to keep in mind. Not that the restaurant, or we do hospital work, we do a lot of big buildings, like they're not going to spend a whole bunch of money. You got to also watch what you do there and treat the customer good. Like, yeah, I'll tell them I can fix it. I try not to get trapped into that, because then if you don't offer them options, you don't know what they want. Like there's always that trap, because I'm always like, oh, I wouldn't want to buy this. I wouldn't want to pay for that, but then they might. So I got to remember to give them options. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, like I wouldn't put money into it, or I wouldn't do this. So just giving them like a full breakdown of, what they need, or something, because I'll ask you a lot of times, like, your opinion. I'm like, yeah, well, this thing is, if I fix this, then this might give out, then this is rusted out and this and that, like consider a new one. Like, be honest with the customer. So that's always there. But yeah, that's a good point. Going from residential, because I always tell people, you're dealing with somebody's home, somebody's income, whatever they make, and you have to be a little more conscious about it. So yeah, in that sense, that transition does help you with kind of that focus and mindset and the thought process. I've had a lot of guys that want to go from residential to commercial though. So did you miss residential at all?
No, man. No, I don't miss it. Like the last company I worked for, when I did do residential, I billed the customer directly. So like that kind of put me in a different spot than a lot of people are used to also. So like just dealing with people's homes, their personal space. I mean, like it is an eye opener, because you see things that you would never think you would see, especially going to do repair on stuff, just working on their equipment. But it is eye opening to do residential in people's personal space and deal with that stuff. But I don't miss it, not one bit.
What is your like favorite thing about kind of what you do now, your refrigeration side of things? Like for me, I prefer refrigeration. I always tell people I don't choose to do even the HVAC, right? The RTUs. I like to do the commercial, like the walk-ins. I even like to do the reach-ins and the ice machines. What is your favorite thing to do with the kind of work that you do?
I would say my favorite for my daily work is refrigeration, and specifically, I would say probably walk-ins. But I don't know, every walk-in equipment, walk-in coolers, walk-in freezers, every single one is set up differently, or it's a different issue. It could be the box is old, the box is
Yeah.
breaking down. So like, I think everything is different, but I choose refrigeration primarily over HVAC, but that's just, I think there's a great victory in fixing both, but
Yeah.
I just feel better about fixing refrigeration equipment.
Yeah, I was just trying to get into refrigeration, and that's what I wanted to do. I always tell people I only do AC because, like, I'm in the restaurant. They started asking me to go check the ACs, right? They're like, "Oh, you do refrigeration?" It's like, yeah. So like now we do it, but I always consider it more as like an add-on, because our primary thing that we do in most of our calls, like this year, I've done a lot of refrigeration, is walk-ins and reach-ins and tons of ice machines. Those things always break down like crazy. So there's a lot that goes into it. And we've been building out our maintenance to go with that, right? We do a lot of ice machine maintenance now, which I stick the new guys on because I don't like to do it. And we do a lot of reach-in maintenance and walk-in maintenance. So a lot of that is helping us out too. Do you go in there with like a thermal imager or anything like that? Because like that's always something you have to check, is like the doors, the seals, the walls.
Yeah, so recently I was looking at getting one for a while, because like I thought it was going to help me a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I need to get a thermal imaging camera. Testo partnered up with me and sent me one of their smart ones, and I've been using that recently. And I have been using that, finding seals, door
Yeah.
seals, bad defrost heaters, like so. my
Not
first
not
thing I do
having to
now,
touch it with your hand and burn yourself.
yeah, literally, like it's the simple things like that that like you wouldn't think it would help you on, but I typically look at what the issue is now, go in there, kind of get a feel for what's going on, and grab my thermal camera because that'll uncover, you could be working on a top line and it might not even be the top line that's having an issue. It might be building balance and hot air coming across the top line, and that'll
Oh yeah.
uncover all of that also. So like that thermal imaging camera, like that has like been my game changer for the year because like that was my this was my first year using one. It is insanely nice finding door seals and the
Yeah.
a drain heater. It's so
Oh yeah.
cold in a freezer you can't even feel if the drain heater's working. You shine on that and it tells you right
Yeah,
away.
we had our new guys. Well, this was a year ago when they were new. He's been here a year now. He ran into that issue. It was like a walk-in freezer that was icing up, and he was like, "Everything's working. All the heaters are working, like the defrost heaters." And I was like, "Can you check?" Because then he found out that the line was frozen, right? The drain line. And I was like, "Can you tell if the heater's working?" And like he was like, "I think so." Like he couldn't tell really. I'm like, "Please," because we supply them with thermal imagers. I'm like, please go check with your thermal imager just to verify, because he thought it might be working. And then he put it on. He's like, yeah, never mind. It's not working like whatsoever. So they went to go get a new one. They were able to fix everything. And that was an instance where like that helped, right? So the drain heaters on the walk-ins are like a big deal because those like they're just supposed to be warm enough to keep it, flowing. They're not going to be like extremely hot to where you can tell, especially if you've been in the walk-in for a while. You can't feel anything.
No,
But
yeah.
I use them a lot for that, and I've told them you can use them for heaters, you can use them just checking around. Like I wouldn't use it as a accurate measurement for like if you're like checking vents or anything like that, but you can get a scope of things, right? Like, oh, you got a heat spot here, these vents are working, whatever it is. I just used it the other day because like this store has been complaining about their AC not keeping up. They added so many They added like all these PCs, all these routers, all this communication stuff because they do online ordering now and like all this fancy stuff. And right in the office, as you walk by, you can feel the heat coming out. I was like, I can feel it. And they have these small like residential units. It's a commercial building, but it's residential split systems. And I was like, you can feel it going by, but I'm going to send you pictures with my thermal imager just so you get an idea and not think that I'm making anything up. Yeah,
Right.
that office is like 85 to 90 degrees and it's just radiating that out. And there's returns right there. I was like, yeah, you have hot air circulating back over here. Like, we got to redo your whole duct if you even want to do that. But, I'm just going to give you the proof there. So that thing has come in handy like so many times for walk-ins and ACs and just building. If your building has hot spots or like you said, seals, like you can, when you inspect, you can see a torn gasket, but like you can go up to it and kind of show them like, hey, you're losing, it's all cold outside of the doors. That should be kept inside, right? So you can see all that.
Right. Yeah, last week I had a open case, open air cooler, and those like the shelves taper larger to smaller from bottom to top because the air will hang up on each shelf as it falls. And they had the shelf orientation wrong, so it was like
Oh yeah.
biggest shelf was in the middle and it was like catching on that shelf and not making it to the bottom. I didn't catch it when I walked in because it was a small enough difference that I couldn't see it, especially fully stocked. But when I shot it with my camera, you could see the air hitting that shelf and then just sitting there and not making it to the bottom. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I've worked on a few of those for like the hospital and when we used to do like the school districts, but they were like really small open case coolers. But yeah, that's something that I saw like that the supermarket guys have to pay attention to a lot, right? Like all the grocery section where they have the open case coolers and all that air curtain stuff has to be perfect or it's not going to cool right. And that goes back to, are they stocking it properly? Like a lot of that matters when it's like an open cooler, right? How you stock it, the temperature you stock product, right? It has to come from a walk-in box that's working into there. It has to be at temperature to keep temperature and a lot of that stuff. So yeah, the air curtains, I've gone down that rabbit hole to kind of look into that stuff too, just to keep it in my mind because like you said, it could be negligible to you or to anybody, but it's still not done right or it's still not set up right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how the little things matter, in refrigeration. Like small refrigeration, every issue is a very large problem in comparison to like a larger piece of equipment. I mean, when you're talking a
Oh
system
yeah.
takes 10 ounces of refrigerant
Yeah.
versus 20 pounds, well, you tell someone, yeah, this system might be 2 ounces off, and they're like, okay. And you're like, no, that's a lot. On a small refrigerator, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I had a question too about somebody asked me about R290. I was like, it's not that hard. Just keep in mind, like you need the kit for it because you got to have these thin hoses. You got to put it in accurately and try to eliminate any loss of refrigerant, because I was trying to explain to some guys. I was like, yeah, you see like 1 ounce systems, like 1.4. I think I even had one that was like 0.9. I was like, they don't take much, so you got to be super accurate on those.
Yeah, I've had before. I have my scale set up for like my R290 small refrigeration stuff, and I'll bleed my lines, and I'll have it done, vacuum done, everything. And then customer or somebody go walk past me, and I'll like put my arm out, and I'm like, no, stay away for a minute, because if you bump my scale, like it's
Yeah.
gonna mess it up.
Man,
But
those are
it
so
is
difficult.
funny.
When I started working on them, the scale was the difficult part, because then I started realizing I'm bumping it by accident with the hose or something, and I'm like, oh, that's throwing me off. I'm like, I need a certain amount of grams or whatever it is, and yeah, I had to learn that because I was using a food scale at first. Finally, went out and got or was looking into what kit I should get. So I have the Inficon one, which is, for me, it's great because I like the 2-in-1 setup. Uh, what kind of kit do you have?
So I just have I just have the yellow jacket kit with like the weight that screws onto the can. It's kind of nice because you can use it with like any size and stuff. So there's a scale that it actually is a part of the scale where it locks onto the can, but I just have the weight and then it sits on it, which is kind of annoying because if you're in a pinch or the hose is pulling on the
Yeah.
can, it tries to like pull it over. So you're like bending the hose trying to get it to balance, and yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
just, I always tell people, the smaller the equipment, the harder it is to work on. Like, I
it
would
is.
much rather work on a walk-in box than a reach-in cooler, even if I'm having to get on the roof and stuff, because you have more leeway with it. Reach-in cooler, it has to be exact charge. It has to be this. Everything has to be perfect for it to work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and like a lot of our customers want it thawed and like tried to be brought back online while you're there. So like doing that on reach-ins
Taking every
personally
screw,
sucks.
yeah,
Yeah,
taking
it
every screw
sucks.
out. They might have to take all their product out at that point. Like, I always tell them, I was like, if you want me to do, because like it's always difficult. I mean, I work for myself, so I can make that choice. But like, do I just come back later in the day? Do I come back another day? Do I just tell them to shut it off and I'll get back to it? But then you're like, I'm already here. It's a small enough unit, right? I just tell them, like, if you want it fixed right now, if it's iced up and all that, I need you to empty that thing out. I'm gonna make a mess. Like, there's no way around
Mhm.
it. So I got to take out 100 screws just to get that evaporator panel off, and then putting it back is a whole other story sometimes, because they're very tricky, right? And blast it with water, do all that, get it going. It takes a lot. The smaller the equipment, the harder it is to work on. I would much rather do walk-ins.
I think I stumble a lot more across strip screws and everything else
Yeah,
on small reach-in
they're
than
rusted and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
almost
I always
sometimes you think you won't be able to get it back on, or you're you disassemble the whole thing. It took you a while, and then you got that one screw that won't come out because it's like stripped or rusted, and you're like,
mm,
I don't know what to do now. Like, it was this all
yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah, I think small reach-ins, like you said about making a mess, like it's inevitable too because they're not designed to take all the water like that when you thaw it. So like thawing
Hmm.
it in that circumstance, like it's gonna overflow, it's gonna go everywhere. So like, I mean, that also is like your customer, like how well you take care of them. So like, are you gonna leave the mess and
Yeah,
like clean the water up? Because a lot of companies don't. Like, I get told by other people who are like, "Yeah, the last company came in here and made a mess and said it's
I
not
don't
their job to clean it up." And
I
I'm
don't
like, I
understand
feel
that.
so guilty. Like,
Yeah.
cleaning it up is so easy, and then they appreciate it so much because like they don't want to clean up your mess. Like that's not. what they're trying to do. But
No,
I mean,
and
they're the fine line. But
yeah, and I give them a warning like, hey, like you want it fixed, there's going to be a mess. And that's my only thing. If they want it fixed right then and there, like there's going to be a little bit of a mess. Not that I'm going to leave that mess. It's just the inconvenience of like the system will be down for a bit. There's going to be water everywhere. Those are the inconveniences. We will grab a mop. We will grab a squeegee, whatever it is to clean when we're done. It'll be a mess the whole way through. But like when we're done, you got to clean that out. We told our guys that all the time. I'm glad that like I guess I would call him our junior tech. He's been here a year, no experience before, but he'll be the first one to go grab a mop and clean up when they got to defrost like a walk-in box and stuff like that. I try to take things a step further. Like I'll have like I buy even from the dollar store, like these little drop cloths. They're plastic. I'll cover all their product if it's like they can't empty it out, but I need to de-ice like half a evaporator or something. But it's like those, and the ones I always have difficulty with is those center mounted ones, because they're right in the middle of everything, and there's no way you're not going to make a mess, right? So
no.
that I'll keep drop cloths and I'll put them over so that nothing gets wet, nothing gets soaked. And then I'll finish what I'm doing, take everything out, clean up. Like takes an extra 15, 20 minutes, but it makes a big difference to your customers and you're taking care of them. And like I said, I go behind a lot of companies and that is complaint that either they don't fix it or they leave a mess. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Even on the make lines, the reach-ins, there are to-go cups. There are like if they ate there or something, I don't get it. Like there's always trash that they leave in there. And I get there, I'm like, okay, somebody was here, but let me throw out all the damn trash. You see it too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Those center mounted ones are a freaking a pain.
I see those a lot
pans
now.
are like, they're hinged pans too. So like if you need to get in there and drop
Oh yeah,
the
just
pan, then
everything
it's
falls.
just such a pain.
So I was teaching my guys how to do that because they're supposed to have hinges. Now, I don't know about you. Sometimes they don't have the hinges. So my guys have been a little bit scared because I'll do it. I'll drop the hinge. I usually put like a ladder underneath so that it kind of rests on that, only because one time, and I believe my brother was with me, so he was able to run in and help me. I dropped it on the hinges and I never used to like support it. Those hinges were rusted. I didn't realize. That thing snapped and that whole thing like fell from one side and I think both sides broke eventually. I was there like trying to hold it. I'm like calling my brother. I'm like, get a ladder, get something to help me put it back up. Never again. So now I always use a ladder to prop them. I'll get an extra ladder. Like I'll be working on one and then one of them will prop them up. That one I had plumbing straps. So I was able to make my own little hinges to put it back up. And I just tell the guys to be careful because those things, you can't trust them. A lot of them are old. If you do any sort of restaurant work, if they carry onions and vegetables, tomatoes, like all the acidic stuff, eats away at the metals, including the coil. So those are things you have to keep in mind as well, because that's how they get in that rough of a shape, is like the stuff that they keep in there.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but like even small like refrigeration stuff, like if I get a call for something not cooling and I show up and the compressor's running, I mean, I just go turn around, grab my leak detector out of the van, and before I even
Yeah.
open that door of the reach in, stick your leak detector in that door that's been sealed, and chances are it's probably leaking in the coil because the acidic stuff has ate away that coil. So
Once it gets to a certain age, I just automatically, I think that, and I'll if we're there for a call, a service call, like we'll leak check it. And I tell them, I was like, you could have a micro leak, top it off once a year. I mean, I'm not going to tell you can't do that, but consider a new unit, because if I replace the bottom, because I've had companies go in there and they try to, and we've done it before. Like if it's a newer system and you just need the evap coil, I get it. Right. But if your evap is eaten away and that condenser's already older, right, it's approaching 20 years and it's all rusted out or it's been worked on so many times, like just do top and bottom.
yeah, commercial kitchens are rough, man. And then you see those condensers that people shove their knees into and stuff because they're like down low towards the ground. They're kicking it, and it's just crazy stuff like that.
So do you do any of the hot side or you stick to refrigeration?
No, we don't do any hot side where I'm at right
Okay.
now. I mean, obviously, a lot of that stuff is like the same. Like I work on it, not for the company I'm with, but if people ask me to work on it, I'll work on it for them. But
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's literally a rooftop unit, but just
Yeah. The gas
not
and
a
all that.
rooftop
Yeah.
unit. Yeah, that's the best way to put it for people when I explain it. Like, I'm like, okay, if you open up a panel like the burner cabinet on a rooftop unit, and then open the burner cabinet on hot side equipment, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be almost identical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
good way to put it.
even like if you work on boilers like Naudians, combi boilers, the dishwashing equipment and like gas fired stuff on that side is like somewhat similar. It's almost hand in hand. It's kind of interesting how a lot of that equipment shares its properties.
Yeah, and I have guys that do both, and they say the same thing. And our technicians, because I don't do hot side, but my dad does that. Our technicians that are coming in when we hire and all that, I tell them you need to be open to doing both. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, it just helps you as a technician to learn as much as you can, whether you stay and earn more or you leave and, they pay more for that. So we're trying to train for both sides. And right now we're, hiring some helpers and they've been good about it. So even that junior tech that we've had for a year, he's doing hot side calls. I'm like, that's what we need. Great. I don't have to do it. I can just kind of stick to what I do and, go from there.
It is funny being down here in Florida, originally from Michigan. A lot of that like gas
Oh
fired
yeah.
equipment, like a lot of people don't really know how to
Nope.
work on it or like
I'll
even know.
I'll tell you right away. I used to work on that first few years, haven't seen it since. Everybody has gone electric. So that's kind of cut and dry. What it's doing and what it's not doing. I can't tell you the last time that I worked on gas, and it's like we have the same kind of weather as Florida, right? It's just hot. We have AC all year round, basically. The humidity's high. It's miserable, like in the summer. So it's great, like for going out or taking a vacation, stuff like that. But as an HVAC tech, you're on the roof all day, and it's just so hot.
Yeah, it does get brutal. Summer times are pretty brutal, but you really can't complain because like the job security, but like it
Oh yeah,
does get brutal some days.
yeah. I tell people, I was like, you guys are slow. Just move to Texas, right? Like you
Yeah,
have work
right.
all year. So I had seen a lot of your content, and you do the one that I related to the most was that walk-in box where you're guarding the door, because that was me all the time, and my dad too. Because my dad has like a way more intimidating look than me. He used to be like super built. He had like tattoos everywhere, and he always wore sunglasses even inside. So he would just stand there and like have his arms crossed. He's like, "You're not getting in there." Right. So I can relate to that. And the content has been really cool. A lot of variety there. Why did you start posting on social media, and what platforms do you post on?
Yeah, so I appreciate that. The first platform I first started on was TikTok. I started
Okay.
posting on there just because like I had fascination. A lot of guys were starting to post stuff on there, and I was actually learning a lot years ago through like stuff like that. And I said, that's pretty cool. Once I get enough knowledge under my belt, I'd like to share the knowledge or like, contribute to that because I talk about this all the time, but like everyone goes to social media or YouTube for help, whether that be for your own career or
Yeah.
as somebody working on their own equipment. So I always thought it was super interesting that people posted, but I started on TikTok primarily. And after the whole transition with TikTok, I started posting on Facebook and Instagram a lot more. And that's been a lot better of a turnout essentially right off the get, but I still post on everything and I'm trying to start to transition to posting long form content on YouTube,
We
but
need more
I'd switch
YouTubers.
towards yeah. So story behind that right now is like I kind of need a little more space. So I'm in the process of building a barn to try to have a little more space. There's HVACR videos. He has like a space where he's building like the mock-up
Yeah.
walk-in.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do something similar once I got my barn done and do like I have a commercial ice machine that I'm waiting to install. And then I have like equipment like this,
That would
and
be
then
cool.
other stuff. And I've been hoarding like bad parts and I'd like to reinstall like some bad parts and be like, hey, if you have a bad part, this is what it's going to do. And this is how you change it to something new,
You should definitely go that route, because I've been trying to do that. I don't have the space. I don't have the time, but I've hoarded some bad parts to kind of show them here and there. But yeah, what Chris is doing is crazy. He has like a whole setup there in his backyard basically, and that's cool. And like you said, having like a reach in to actually show people, because it's so difficult. Because I do more like content on on rooftops than I do inside the store because the music is blasting or you're constantly talking to somebody or it's just difficult to record. So having like more of a space where you can kind of disassemble something and kind of talk through it, that would be really cool because I get a lot of questions about that stuff too. And it's like, I'll try and get to it when I can. It's just difficult, like for me.
Yeah. So my theory is like if you can lay out parts and not be like, then the music is a big issue for like copyright. It makes it almost nearly impossible to do long form content in a commercial kitchen because of the music. So like,
I just
um,
I just uploaded one. I was like, I basically had to mute it and like put like elevator music over it
yeah,
just to show it.
which kind of it makes it tough because people want to hear. It's kind of funny, but people want to hear like the sound of like the trade. Like they want to hear like the drill. They
Oh
want to
yeah,
hear
I
like
get so what I try to do is I just try to minimize it because like yeah, I still want that flame noise, right? That sound. I still want like the clanking, the whatever you're doing because it does bother me when it's completely muted and you see all this stuff and you don't hear like anything moving or any like I said the brazing or anything. Like those are sounds that you expect. So I try to keep it low enough so you don't hear the music, but then like you can still hear some of it, but it's just very difficult because like I had an R290 compressor I was changing out and it was like, oh, this is going to be such a good video, this and that. And I get in there and it's like the loudest music I've ever heard. I'm like, thanks guys.
I know. You need that refrigeration ASMR, if you will. Like you got to have that.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
so disappointing, but I was like, whatever.
yeah. So like this is like my newest like pickup, and it's just like something that I'm going to start getting into, kind of like a series, like fixing Facebook Marketplace refrigeration items, and
That's
then
cool.
reselling them. So like I
Oh,
think that
okay.
I can utilize that series and like still teach people on stuff like that. So
There's so many like little side hustles you can do because I've been asked a lot like if I sold used equipment I was like I just don't have the patience or the time to like what do you call that refurbish like systems, right? Because I get asked a lot like the local mom and pop shops, those are the ones looking for used equipment, so a lot of times they'll want that, or you can do like a loaner, right? I've been asked that too, like, oh, we need to buy a new system, but do you have like a small reach in we can use in the meantime or whatever it is? And it's like, well, I just don't. I let the customer deal with the old systems or throwing them out. So,
yeah, a while back I thought about doing leasing, like equipment leasing or rental,
oh, I've heard of that
just
too.
because like you said, places go down, like they don't want to buy anything new, so like it wouldn't hurt just to
Hmm.
rent it to them for a week, or like I mean, I might keep one around and just try it, but
Yeah,
I guess we'll see.
that would be a good one too. I've heard of that too. Okay, we've been over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. If anything, we should probably do a part two at some point.
Yeah,
If
I agree.
it was a really good conversation. I think we hit a lot of things because, like I mentioned, a lot of people ask me about getting into the commercial space. So that's kind of the conversation I wanted to have, like what we like and don't like. I think we kind of covered all that stuff. But before we get off, if you want to kind of leave with anything, maybe on that note of either somebody transitioning to commercial or any of the new guys, because I know that's your audience too, about getting into refrigeration or just in the trade in general.
Yeah, so like even regardless if you're looking to get into the trade or refrigeration, one or the other, you can't be scared of the unknown. Like a lot of the stereotypes of people being, you don't know it, you're never going to be useful, it's not existent. So like you need to just take that leap, invest into a company that's willing to invest into you in return because you as an individual that's interested in the trade is valuable because
Oh yeah.
we are hurting for people and like it's hard to find anybody that is like a hard worker and shows up. So like you as an individual just go out and apply to companies and find someone that's willing to invest into you and make the change. Like even refrigeration techs, that is even worse. So like
Mhm.
we are hurting for people so bad that if you apply and put your best foot forward, I think that's the best thing you can do. Just try
Yeah,
it and
there's
learn.
so many AC guys, there's not a lot of refrigeration guys, right? And all the refrigeration guys typically are well taken care of. They get paid a lot or they want to do more, so they go into supermarkets and other stuff. So like my company is looking for, these kinds of techs, or now we're going the route of just getting guys out of school that we can train and hopefully keep, and they've been doing well. So I did have one guy that, because my only thing is like invest in yourself and it'll pay off. Maybe, but it's not going to be like overnight, because we did have a guy that moved up north to go make more money, which I'm never going to stop anybody from getting their bag, right? If they're making more, that's great. But, they got to do the traveling, they got to do other stuff to make that difference that they wanted here. And I was like, just give it like he wasn't here a year yet. I was like, give it a year. Yeah, like we already gave you a raise. You're in line for another one. Like we'll meet you there. But sometimes they're chasing the quick buck, and some places you get it. Some places it takes time. If you don't get it at your current company, take all that experience with you, take all those skills that you learned with you, and you'll be able to make it somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I appreciate you for coming out, taking the time. It was a great conversation, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I look forward to it again.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.